chance to get upstairs, and then we can get going. Okay, good evening and welcome to the August 6, 2015 Planning Commission meeting for the City of West Sacramento. This evening we're going to start, per tradition, with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Sturmfeld to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was going to say in recognition of him being recognized by Sac State recently. And congratulations for that. First item on the agenda is presentations by public on matters not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the commission. I have no request to speak on that matter, but on that note, if anybody out there would like to speak on any of the agenda items, the one agenda item that we have, please fill out a form. There's a little piece of paper over on the side, and hand it to our clerk, Cindy. I think she's here. Yes. And she will pass it to me. And I will call individuals up in the order that I receive the piece of paper. Staff communications. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Chair Liebig, thank you. One item to note, at last night's city council meeting, the council took up the fueling stations in the waterfront zone matter that your commission moved along at your previous meeting. Council wanted us to look into that a little further, especially trying to differentiate between some of the more typical fuels and then also hybrid hydrogen, electrical, et cetera. So we're working on some adjustments to that, and we're going to bring that back to the Planning Commission, hopefully at our one of our next 1 or 2 meetings before returning to City Council on that. So we actually, hopefully this will result in something even better than what we worked on originally. That concludes staff communications at this time.
Thank you. Also should note, I don't believe it's on the agenda, but Commissioner Lepore joins us this evening as one of our commission's alternates filling in for one of the 2 that are missing this evening. Thank you again. At this time, I will bring up number C, disclosure of ex parte communications. I should be seeing none. This is a city issue. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes from the July 16th, 2015 meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Ferrero.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Stumber. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now, moving on to our regular agenda. This is a public hearing regarding Resolution 15-3PC, recommending approval of a development agreement with the Sacramento Yolo Port District in the Stone Lock property in Southport. Ms. Hamilton.
Thank you, Chairman Liebing.
The Stone Lock property is a former redevelopment agency property consisting of about 210 acres of undeveloped land located just south of the Barge Canal in the northeast area of Southport. And it is bound by, on the west, by Palmadesi Bridge and the Sacramento River on the east. And for our audience at home or present tonight, the location map can be found in attachment 1. In 2012, the redevelopment agency entered into a purchase option agreement with the port. The port later assigned its purchase option to the Stone Lock District Holdings Company, which Cordish is a managing partner. And with that, there was a provision that a development agreement with the city would need to be in place before development of the property could occur or transfer of the property could occur. At this point, Stone Lock District Holdings wishes to reassign its option back to the port, thereby triggering the need for a development agreement. Both the city and the port feel it's in both their best interest to maintain control of the property to ensure the development future aligns with both the port and city visions. There are 2 major roadways that are planned to extend or connect to other parts, both north, south, and west. And it is also a very impressive property in a very nice location on the Sacramento River. So the council and the port have always held that property as being high value in development. Both the City Council and the Port Commission have provided direction on the terms contained in the draft development agreement. Attachment 2 of this agenda report contains the outline of the terms, which they both have seen and provided direction. And on that attachment, we also have references to the various sections within the actual development agreement. And so I'll go ahead and move to that now and go over some of those terms. So this development agreement does not constitute, it doesn't give any entitlements to actually develop the property right away. And so it really is pointing to the existing zoning, the existing densities, building heights, setbacks, and things that are contained in the Southport Framework Plan. So there's no changes to land use, no changes to zoning. What it does do is it sets forth the vision that the council has stood by for several years of what they envision for that property. And that vision is consistent with what is described in the Southport Framework Plan for that area of Southport. It also provides a requirement for a conceptual master plan for the development of the property prior to any sale, land use entitlement, or any permit related to the property, whether it's just on a small portion or on the entire portion. So with this, if adopted, the port, once they conclude the purchase of the property, if the port wanted to develop it, or if the port wanted to partner with a private developer to have the property developed, or if they wanted to sell the property to a developer, a concept plan would have to be brought forth to the city council. And the reason for having this provision in there is to make sure that it's consistent with the vision that's been outlined. So there will be plenty of opportunities going forward for the public to engage if there is development contemplated on this, but there is none at this time. The development agreement also provides acknowledgments to the existing covenants and the planned roadways that are on or through the property. And the roadways that I'm primarily speaking to, and there is an exhibit in the development agreement, it's Exhibit D2, that shows the extension of Village Parkway from the Mike McGowan Bridge down to the existing Village Parkway that ends right at the Riva condominiums. And so that runs north-south. And that roadway is currently in design and should be entering into construction here this fall. The other roadway is east-west, and it's Locks Drive. Locks Drive currently exists between the Mike McGowan Bridge and Jefferson Boulevard, where the signal is. That has always been planned to be realigned a little further south, connecting to Village Parkway once it's extended, and then also extend west over to and south, connecting up with the intersection of Southport Parkway and Lake Washington Boulevard over by Lowe's, where the signal is there. So those are the two main roadways that are planned, and they are depicted in the general plan circulation element and the Southport Framework Plan circulation element. So that's also acknowledged in the development agreement. There is also a term that prior to the close of escrow, of the port obtaining the property, that the city will complete its acceptance of the lock parcel. The lock parcel in the option agreement is actually the physical locks that exist, the old Corps of Engineer locks that the ships used to pass through. Those provide flood protection for the city. And so the city wants to retain a parcel to ensure that they can get in, access those, maintain those. It does require cranes to do some major maintenance periodically on those. And it also, the city would also need an access easement to be able to access that parcel. So the development agreement has a term in there requiring those two items to occur. And then there are a couple other items that are more for the findings that we need with respect to the government code, the California State Government Code, with respect to development agreements and flood protection. Also for recognizing the city's affordable housing requirements. And then also that this development agreement is superior to anything else that might be recorded on the property from a lien perspective. The duration of the agreement is 3 years following the effective date, which that would be after the city council does their final action on it, which is a second reading of the ordinance. And that has a potential of up to 5 extensions of 3 years each. You might be asking why 3 years with 5 extensions? Well, it's keeping in the spirit of the original option agreement. The original option agreement envisioned that the property might develop or be sold in phases. You know, it might be parcelized into large parcels, maybe 4 or 5, and phased over time and developed over time. So we're just trying to keep with that same spirit here. And so that's why that type of duration was recommended. And then, of course, in Exhibit B, the development agreement contains the vision statement. And so that's kind of the highlight of the key points, most of the points. Note there is no development plans in here, because as I stated originally, there are none at this time. No changes to land use. This is more of a development agreement that just solidifies the vision and a couple of transactions that will occur initially, which is the transfer of the lock parcel and a couple of major roadway extensions or realignments. So we did review the draft development agreement in accordance with CEQA. We found that it wouldn't result in any of the conditions described in the CEQA guidelines 15162, which would require additional environmental review. And therefore, since no development is proposed at this time, an addendum to the Southport Framework Plan is found to be the appropriate level of environmental review. So in closing, staff recommends the Planning Commission conduct the public hearing and adopt Resolution 15-3 PC as presented by staff in the agenda report. And that concludes my opening presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Charlene. At this time, I'm going to officially open the public comment period. However, I don't have any requests to speak at this time. And just to note that I do agree with the city's environmental review of this. Although it's not really specified in our action, it would be adopted with our resolution. So, are there any questions or comments of staff? No? Alex?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Charlene, there appears to be a square chunk missing from the parcel in the southwest corner near the bridge, near the Palmdesi Bridge. How did that happen? What's the funny shape there?
That is actually owned by the port,
Oh,
so that it doesn't go quite that far.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't expect many comments this evening on this. It's rather just a legal document, but Martha?
Yes, first of all, Ms. Hamilton, I appreciate your presentation. It was comprehensive and helps to understand, why this is being done at this level, so it's pretty high level. And agree with the recommendation that you've provided here. Also like to see the connectivity with the planned major roadways that you've presented, and it is going to help our city to facilitate, getting through, having more access ways. So I'm looking forward to that, and glad to hear that we're having construction in the fall coming up pretty soon. So looking forward to that. And at this point, I think that working with the port, and I think we have a good relationship with them, and seeing that we'll have some good progress in the future. So I appreciate your presentation and the report. Thank you.
Okay, I will go ahead and close the public hearing, and seeing no further comments, I just have one comment, that I hope this triggers a development that reflects the property, that special property that we do have. And with that, I would seek a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Vice Chair Guerrero, seconded by Mr. Sternfels. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, it's the recommendation passes, and there is no appeal because this will be read at council next. So,
Yes, the next steps are for this to proceed back to the Port Commission and to the City Council for their final adoptions,
okay, thank you.
and they will be publicly noticed.
Moving to informal discussion. With that, I'll seek another motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.